Good morning. Thank you for joining us live today and rewatch. I am Heidi, Simon's mama, here at Simon Says Stamp headquarters in Columbus, Ohio. And if you've seen our social media, you'll know that we have a special guest who's going to join me in about a minute, standing by. Today is Cyber Monday, and if you've been with us in Cyber Mondays past, we like to do something extra special for you. It's a gift for you from all of us. And I see in the chat we already have, thank you Ted from Stampers Anonymous, Stephanie here from Simon, Debbie, I see Rochelle, thank you for joining us today. Wendy Visser from Canada, thank you Wendy for joining us today. I appreciate anybody who's here live, and if you're on rewatch, you're in luck because hopefully this surprise is going to last for a little bit more than Stamptember did. Stamptember was just an evening. So today we are going to bring in Tim Holtz because Tim is in on our surprise for you. Tim, welcome. Come on in, Reed.
Hello.
Thank you for bringing in Tim. Hi, Tim.
Hello, hello.
Happy
How are
Cyber
you?
Monday.
Happy Cyber Monday. That's good. Mario's over here too. He's hanging out. He'll pop
Hi,
in.
Mario. Hey,
Hi, guys.
hey.
Happy Cyber Monday.
I love the hat. And
Thanks.
Reed's here. Thank you, Reed, for
Hey,
getting us
Reed.
set up all
Hello,
behind the
hello.
scenes. Tim and I have a very special gift for you for Cyber Monday. And before I reveal, Tim, do you want to say anything? Because I'm just talking and talking and talking.
I'll have plenty to say once we get rolling. You do all the details. You do all the business.
So for Cyber Monday, I'm going to grab my gift. For Cyber Monday, Tim and I would like to give anybody, 1, 2, 3, this cute Walter die. If you place an order at Simon Says Stamp for Tim Holtz products of $25 or more, ta-da!
He's so cute, isn't he? He's very
We'll
cute.
tell you guys how to get him in a minute. Tim, you
Very
can.
all about Walter. Yes.
Yeah, so a little bit different. This time you can search for Walter, either searching Walter or use code 666505 at simonsaystamp.com. Add one of the Walter dies to your cart, and then when at checkout, if you have $25 worth of Tim Holtz items, use code Walter at checkout to get that for free.
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 Yeah, I mean, I think it's such a great thing that you do, Heidi, for Cyber Monday and of course to kick off DieCember, which is coming up, a whole month of celebrating dies. But it's really great that, not only do you support the industry, but also supporting the brand. And it was really fun to collaborate on this die. I mean, wanted to do something, but I think each year that we've done this has just been a little bit more elaborate as far as the amount of dies that we're doing. And Walter he's very cute. He's very cute.
Oh, he's very cute and handsome. And as soon as we, Tim and I think last February, this Walter art was finalized. And one of the things when Tim showed me a penguin and we talked about a penguin idea, it's also really close to my heart because Tara, who I know Tim and Mario know very well too, who works here at Simon Says Stamp, has been here as part of Simon Says Stamp since the very beginning, and she is a huge penguin fan. So every year for Christmas I give her something penguin, and so I can guarantee you she's going to get something penguin related this year, and she's a crafter lover too. So it's very close to my heart that we worked on this penguin together. And Tim, you're the one who worked through this art. I mean, this Walter guy, why don't you want to switch to Tim's camera because he's got a lot of details, this Walter.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. Yeah, I'll take you through it.
Top down.
It'll be fun. I'll get set up. Look at this. Already set up. So I think, what's fun about designing, and a shout out to Lisa at Sizzix who helped work on this art. Just wanted to create something fun. Obviously, as a gift with purchase, it was important that, we had a template to work with, but we crammed in as many details on this guy as possible for this. And he's really fun. I want to take you through and show you like how to build and what we can do with it, and even share some inspiration, which I think will be really good. All right. So Walter is a thin die. It will fit a sidekick. So if you just have a sidekick, it's a small die, small pieces, but you can use it, of course, with any of your die cut systems because it is just a thin die. these are all the dies that come with Walter, okay? Let me just bring in the actual art that I use for the packaging. Now, one thing I do want to point out real quick before I get started is that the image on the packaging is reversed for whatever reason that is. These are the actual, so this is how it's going to cut out. And I'll just talk about like the little highlight on his belly or the hat. So if you cut it out and you're like, wait a minute, the dot for his belly is over here, his hat's hanging on this side. For whatever reason, the art got flipped. Maybe it was just to fit the layout of the packaging, but really this is the actual that the dies will cut out. So what's fun about Walter, of course, a cute little penguin, a great expression, wanted to give him some seasonal couture. So he's got a little Santa hat, a little scarf, but also dress him up year round. You know, I'm a huge fan also of Disney and Mary Poppins, and I always think of those dancing little penguins. So there's a bow tie and of course this little pair of glasses. So there's a lot of fun elements with Walter. And sometimes when you see all these pieces, it can be intimidating. And that's why I wanted to show exactly how easy it is to cut out and assemble, right? I put my pieces on a magnet sheet, but again, you can store your dies however you want. I already have my paper pre-done, but I'm just going to take you through the build of Walter. So these are all the pieces. If you were to cut out all of the dies, you can see that it's, and I'll take you through, I'm gonna do it live. So there's a base die, a layer die. It's kind of like a mini colorize, to be honest. There's a highlight, a base, a top layer, the beak and the little feet flippers. There's the hat pieces, the scarf, you can see super easy, the bow tie, the glasses, and yeah, I'll even talk about creating sunglasses. I've got little flecks of snow everywhere because I thought it was a good idea to sprinkle snow. It really wasn't. Okay,
Hey, Tim,
so I just
I
thought
got
it
a
would be.
question for you real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Does this Walter die coordinate with any of your other Sizzix dies?
Yes, of course. You'll see. The best part of this is that, you know, when Heidi and I talk about concepts for art, okay, we talk about different ways that we can use them. And one of the things that's always important to me is scale. So not only am I going to show how to build, but I'm going to share some ideas of what I use Walter with other dies, both old and new. I mean, I'll even go back to like putting them with some Biggs dies. So buckle up for that. All right. So let's just take you through the cut and the build. And normally I don't die cut on camera, but I just thought like, hey, it's early and let's just do it. So I'm just gonna take my sidekick. I'm just gonna stick it down to media mat. You can just use your regular cutting pads that come with the sidekick. So here's what I do when I die cut anything, especially colorize, anything that I need to layer. I like to take my paper, and I talk about it before, I like to run it through my Xyron. So I put permanent adhesive on the back. You don't have to use a Xyron. You can use glue if you want. You can use any kind of sticky sheets. You can do all that. Hey, shout out to everyone. I see Kathy Z and Jennifer and Ann and Zoe's in here. Hey, everyone. Hey, Ralph. So that's what I did for all of my papers. They're already adhesive back because to me, that makes assembling anything with a lot of pieces a snap. I prefer Xyron because to me, it's the most forgiving permanent adhesive, if that makes sense. All right. So the paper I use, this is Distressed Black Heavy Stock. I love this for Walter, especially for the build because it has kind of has like a suede vibe. You can see it just has, I don't know, like that suede penguin feel. What I did for the actual packaging is textured cardstock. And textured cardstock is nice, but it gave him kind of a whole bumpy texture. So I mix and match for this demo. So that's what I'm going to start with. And I'll take the two biggest dies, the two pieces, which is going to be his outline base and the body. And to be honest, you know, depending on how you want to create with this, the outline, this solid, is only going to impact the color of his eyes. So if you didn't want to do it black, or maybe you didn't want to use black cardstock, you want to do white, you can just color in that one little area. But I just place my dies where they fit right on the paper. I'm doing this to my phone. I'm actually going to see if I can make this happen. Okay, I'm gonna make my little sandwich, place that down, and run it through. Okay.
While you're doing that, Heidi, can you help clarify? It can be mix and match items. They just have to be Tim Holtz items adding up to $25, correct?
Yep. While Tim is cutting, if you don't mind, Tim, I'll talk a little bit about how people can get Walter. So
Yes.
any purchase of Tim Holtz branded products, Sizzix included, stamps, Ranger, fabric, anything, any Tim Holtz product that's in your cart that adds up to $25 or more qualifies for this free gift. Put Walter in your shopping cart, and you can search him by using the word Walter, or his item code is 666505. Add Walter to your cart, and when you enter the coupon code Walter, he will show up for free. So the price will be $0 when you add that word Walter to your coupon code at the cart, and then you will get this Walter in your shopping cart. I'll talk a little bit more why I have several Walters. I don't want to interrupt Tim's demo too much, but there's a good reason to get more than one Walter. So we have Walter for DieCember. He's an early kickoff to celebrate DieCember with Sizzix. And Tim, I don't mean to overtalk while you're
You
demoing.
go for it.
I think you probably
I'm
have
cutting
things
the
to
last
say.
little highlight, so go for it.
I love that sidekick.
All right. Perfect, perfect. All right, any other business, feel free to talk away. If you got any other business, then I'll just assemble him.
Let me make sure that
I'm reading in the chat. I like Mario put in the chat, Walter equals free, free, free. Yes, Walter is a free gift from Tim and Simon Says Stamp for as long as supplies last. So supplies
right.
are limited. While supplies last, you can receive Walter at no cost. And I'm seeing Sizzix in the chat. Hey, Sizzix, thank you.
Hey,
Thank you,
Sizzix.
Sizzix, for making Walter come to life. We're thrilled that he's here for all of us to enjoy. And if you notice, you can put this little hat on him or the bow tie. Tim's cutting out his belly right now.
Super, super fun. So all I did is I just went in and cut out all the pieces. Okay, then I'm just taking the die pick and I'm popping out all of the paper pieces, and I'll show you the build, because really, sometimes when it comes to die cuts, some people just like a single die where it's just, they like to keep it simple. Other times I think people miss out because they just assume that a shape or a design is too intimidating because it has a lot of pieces, and there's tips and tricks. I mean, the first rule is if you have colored cardstock, use it. That's the easiest. But if you don't want to have a bunch of different papers, you can just cut all the pieces out of white and use your inks, your markers, anything to color the elements, okay? But the build is really important. And my tip is going from a die pick, which is a tempered steel pick that is designed to poke out the little pieces from a die, and switch to a craft pick. Now I just use my tonic craft pick. The reason is the points of these are completely different, okay? A craft pick should be very sharp, very piercing, designed to go through paper and poke holes. And so I need that really sharp tip of a craft pick to do the next part of the assembly. So I do always switch from my die pick. The reason I don't like to use the craft pick as a die pick is that it's not tempered steel. It's not designed for this kind of digging motion, and you can often bend your craft pick if you're digging out your dies. So that's why there's a die pick and a craft pick. Different tools for different things, all right? So I'm just gonna remove the sidekick. Just get this out of the way just so we can talk about the build. And I'm doing this through my phone, so I'll try to keep up the best I could, okay? So our base piece, I'll set this on camera just so you can kind of see this as well. We're just gonna work from the bottom up, okay? So our base piece is just solid. Like I said, all we're gonna see is where his eyes are. Then we're gonna take this next piece, and this next piece is where his eyes are actually cut out. They're two tiny little dots. So I just dig those out with the craft pick. They're super small. I just get rid of those if I can, okay? And then what you're going to do is just take your craft pick. Again, I'm trying to do this through my phone, and you're gonna just slide the pick right underneath between the paper and that liner, okay? That's all the pick is gonna do. And that's just gonna allow me to peel this off, get rid of that liner. The easy build that I find for Walter is if you hold him right here by the wings and you stack it right by the wings of the base. See how easy they line up? Just because your fingers follow that contour, that's the match. Matchy matchy, done, okay? We stick that on. Then we take our highlight and our white. So your white pieces, they're all going to have little eye pokey things that we're just going to pop out. So just know that when I pick this up, I'm always just popping these out just to get rid of them, because the eyes are what build up to the base layer. Okay. The shadow piece, you're going to see that Walter was really designed to have a lot of character, a lot of shadow, a lot of shading. And that's another thing that's important when you're building dies. Don't be so particular. Don't freak to think like, oh, everything's got to line up. The cool thing about Walter, and you're going to see, is he's designed to have all these little reveals. See that reveal on his belly here? See that reveal on the top of his head? Reveal meaning it's designed to reveal that bottom layer. So it's creating more shadow. So these pieces from here on out are not designed to line up all the way to the outer edge. So I would say like measure to the nearest ish. So I'm just going to take the highlight, and again, just take the craft pick, peel that off. It makes it super easy. And then I just stick the piece onto the craft pick. That also helps me just because I have really fumbly hands. I'm going to place that right over the top. So see, I just kind of put it where those little flipper wings are, and then release the pick. That's it. And I just tack it down for now. You'll see why. See how like it's not pushed down on that side? Okay. Then I'm going to take the next layer, the body. And so by having this adhesive and with the pick, and you'll find your groove. You'll be way faster and probably wouldn't have 4 shots of coffee just before you do this. But we're just going to go in and peel this off. It's the eyesight thing. I want to be right under my nose. I think many of you guys can relate to that.
That craft pick
Right?
is one of my favorite tools in my entire craft room, Tim.
It's my favorite too if I could just see it. That's my problem. I can't see with my eyes, so I got to bring it close to my face.
You're good. While you're messing with that, Heidi, help with some clarification. All $25 need to be to Tim Holtz items. It
Yep.
can't be one item and then other items added. All $25 need to be Tim Holtz items for that. For Walter to be $0.
Perfect. Perfect.
Cool.
So after I did those pieces, I take the body, and this is where it makes it really simple. You just put it right into that section that you cut out with the highlight. That head just fits right in, and everything lines up. So you place that down. So the textured cardstock, this is just Sizzix cardstock with the texture. The black is Distress Heavy Stock. So you can see already, just hold my hand steady for a second. Can you see that little highlight on his head? That's revealed. You can see over here that this wing is not necessarily designed to go to the outside of the body. Could you move it? Of course. If you would rather, it's paper, it's flexible. If you would rather have the gap here, you can do that. You do you. Don't overthink it. Really, thinking is overrated. Next, we're going to take that top body, and I also wanted that smooth. So instead of black heavy stock, I went with white Distress Heavy Stock. This piece, because it's heavy stock, the body pops out really easy, but the eyes, they don't seem to pop out too well. So here's what I do on this one. I'm just going to peel the paper, the little release paper. So now I've got these 2 little pieces in here of his eyes. You see that? Now they're supposed to come out. So what I do is I just lay it on my finger. I'll take my craft pick and I'll push them through this way so they kind of stick onto my finger. See that? Because have you ever tried to just poke out the little hole, and instead of coming out, it like falls to the back, and then you lose it, and then you go to assemble it, and then it's like a bumpy road. So here I know that they're on my fingers. I can just flick them somewhere in the studio, and we'll find them another time. That's pretty normal. And then, hey, let's keep it real. You know that's what you do. You just flick it anywhere. You're like, I don't know where that goes. And then all you're going to do is just line up his eyes. So same thing. And then just set that down. Pretty simple. So now we've got Walter. We've got our base layer that's black, our middle layer with his eyes, our highlight, and our 2 white layers. And then we have this little beaky thing. And what's interesting is I wanted this shape. I know it kind of looks like a mask, but I wanted that little extra smirk. I don't know why. I think that's just something when it comes to designing that I like to keep little details. So you'll see. So again, I peel off the back. I stick it onto the pick because the pick, in my opinion, helps me assemble it. So I can see some people like to use tweezers. That's fine. I'm just not good with the dismount on tweezers. I can grab it, but I have trouble with it releasing. So there you go. So that little extra piece kind of goes off to the side, and you can position this however you want. And then you've got these 2 bottom little pieces. So this is where things get really finicky, but honestly, if you just use the pick, it releases the paper and it gives you perfect positioning. So I just I push this down for now. You see how that's not lined up? Don't worry about it right now. Just stick it down. Assembly for this, I mean, I think if it was, if I wasn't looking through a phone and it was like a game show, I could assemble this guy in really minutes. So I just stick those down. I don't line them up yet. Once they're both stuck down, then I just take my fingers and just like we did with that first layer, you just kind of line it up with your fingers and that paper moves. Even though it's permanent adhesive, it allows that positioning. So there we go. One last step, which a lot of people totally skip, and I don't blame you, is this tiny little highlight. You see that little piece of paper that you think is trash? Well, it could be if you don't want to do the highlight, but I love that with, see there again, a little piece with the pick. It's there. I know it's kind of blurry because I'm super close. But that little highlight piece can go right there on his beak, and then I just take the pick, move it exactly where I want it to be, which is kind of that little angle, and then do one final squeeze. One squeeze with your fingers, that is where that adhesive becomes more permanent and your pieces don't move. And that's Walter. That's it. So simple just to stack him up and build, and you have just that great little character. I love his little expression. See, I think it's just that little
smile.
Smirk. I know, it just makes him look like he's just kind of got this grin to him. And I love that little highlight in his belly. It's just, that's the best part of design, right? Some people, they're like, why did you put a big old hole in his belly? Because it's really a highlight and it's fun. And I think it gives a flat shape a little bit more character. When you cut out the other pieces, just so you know, when it comes to how the dies are designed, like for the hat, all of the pieces for your hat are one die. So all of those are going to come off on one die. So if you're doing it in these colors, then yes, you're going to want to cut it out in many different colors of, get rid of that, paper. Just move to the scarf. Scarf, same thing. It's two pieces. That layer right there, the bow tie, two dies, and of course the glasses are one die. So if you don't want to do colored cardstock, you can just cut it all out of white and then color each of these pieces. So that makes it easy. And I'll post this image on the blog, and I'll even I'll take a photo of this and send this to Simon Says so they can have it on theirs as well, just to show you the step outs of color, right? But Walter became this fun character, this character that when Heidi and I were talking about it, it just made us laugh when we were talking about just how funny he was. I think it's just his simplified expression makes it, I don't know, like a way that you can just use him many, many different ways. And that's why we wanted to add a couple of accessories. And I didn't have any glasses that were so small. So that's why we wanted to add these little glasses. I think it's hilarious. Of course, it's Christmas. We need to do a Santa hat. But even with your accessories, a craft pick is so nice because you can see that even though that's stuck down, it's super easy to take off Xyron. That's another reason that I like it, because there's often times that I'll position it on my project and just want to, maybe change it a little bit. So it's permanent, but it's also kind of forgiving when it comes to die cut pieces. All right. So that's the build. And I did do a few little makes. So Heidi, is there anything you want to chat about before I show some of the makes?
There's one question.
Yes.
If you add $50 worth of items, can you get 2 Walters, or is it only 1 per order?
It's 1 per order, but I was going to talk about this a little bit when I showed my make. You can place multiple orders to get multiple Walters. There's no limit. If you want to place 10 different orders of $25 each and stock up on your distress re-inkers, on your distress blending brushes, on your black cardstock, anything, on your craft pick, on other Sizzix dies, on glossy accents, on the multimedia mat. Place multiple orders and you can get multiple Walters.
And one final question. Is there any other way to get Walter, or is this the only way?
Well, he's on our website. You could purchase Walter for $25, but I feel like you might want to just purchase $25 in product and get Walter for free.
That's right. But at least the answer is yes. At least the answer is yes.
Yes, yes. I love, you're right, Tim. I love when you can say yes.
Yeah, I think that's great. Maybe it is something where you're like, what? I don't need anything, but I need that die. So there you go. But I would agree that, it's free if you spend $25. So even if you don't need anything, maybe it's a great way to shop for a friend for the holidays.
Oh
the
yeah.
fun stuff. So.
And he is exclusive to Simon Says Stamp. We have him for our DieCember celebration. We've done DieCember for the last few years, but we like to kick off this special freebie on Cyber Monday with Tim to give us something extra special for Cyber Monday. So we have our DieCember exclusive is out a little bit early, and he is exclusive to Simon Says Stamp, made by Sizzix.
There you go. Hey, that is a good segue. That is a good segue to what I'm going to share, because one of the questions that was asked initially was, hey, does he coordinate with anything? So truth is, he actually coordinates with previous year DieCembers. So here I have 2023, which is Walter, 2022. So last year, remember Chili and Freezy? And then even the year before that, 2021 was Dash Away All. Building this, it was about like, if you've been a fan of this whole DieCember promotion and purchases, and we've gone back, there was even a 2020, but it had nothing to do really with Walter. This is where I think Heidi and I really found our groove with these small little shapes. But Walter is actually scaled to work with those other dies. So you can see here that this is Walter, this is Dash Away All. So you can see that Santa and the reindeer are really great, but even the accessories for Chili and Freezy, the little earmuffs, the other hat, and the other scarf. So this is the scarf that comes with Walter, but this is the scarf from Chili and Freezy, the earmuffs and the hat. They also fit on Walter. So if you have the other dies, then you'll have other accessories that you can use to clearly go on. It's really, really cute. Yeah, that's what it is. It's like Mario's hat, my glasses. It's fun. So this guy's really designed to kind of create your own little scene. But that wasn't it. You know, it wasn't just, I didn't want anyone to feel like, okay, well, this is like my first time doing this and I don't have the other dies, because again, this is limited. You know, Simon Says Stamp is so generous in giving this as a gift with purchase, but once they're gone, they're gone. They're not added to the line. They're not sold at another time. It is what it is. So that's why it's really important to pick these up. And it's also important to pick up, you know, extra ones, because you might have a friend that missed out, and it's a great thing to gift them. But I wanted to share how Walter can be used with even current dies, which I think is also really fun. The nice thing about, I just saw a question, will they be made available again? They're not. The prior sets, it's a one and done. So that's the important part of just jumping on the train. So here, I wanted to use Walter with, I love these big tidings. So take a look at how fun he is, just kind of sticking his head through the O, enjoy. And I know I shared this during the Hoopla where I used the bear from Toyland, but this is all about gearing up for DieCember and understanding that any kind of die that you have, it is important to remember that it's a shape. It's a shape that can be used with so many different things. And I think sometimes we are very focused on a coordinating mindset, that if it didn't come coordinated from the manufacturer, then there's no options. And you really need to break that thinking cycle. You really do. You have to think about, wait a minute, this is a new shape. Make him, build him, and then go into your craft space and hold him up next to dies and see where he would look good. What could you pair it with? What options? So just because it's not matchy from the brand, it doesn't mean that you as the maker can't coordinate it with anything and any brand. So that's all I did, is just built him and kind of stuck him through, even have him kind of hanging off of that highlight. I think it's hilarious if you had like a Christmas light die, that would be so fun to kind of have him tangled up in Christmas lights. So mix and match and pair the ideas. I just wanted to keep these really simple, but this is the first one where I just built Walter as he was and put him inside the O, enjoy. Really fun, right? Very, very cute. Another great option is just looking at other dies that maybe aren't totally seasonal. And Zoe Hillman, one of the makers, she's known for her hats, that's for sure. And she's really gotten me to look at dies completely different. About most of the time, I'm paying attention to a shape. Like, okay, is this die in this pack? Like I wanted a tree for Walter, and I'm like, oh, this tree in Road Trip kind of has that same cartoon look. You know, I just kind of held them there. I'm like, oh, that works. But it was really about other accessories that maybe I don't have a specific hat die. But if it's a shape that's easy to just modify, like in this case, die cut this guy's head, didn't have to die cut the whole thing. I just laid his head on a piece of paper and cut him through. That was an easy cut with my scissors to go in and give Walter that little festive top hat right there. How cute is that? Take that little top hat. There's the tree from Road Trip. And if you have any other minis, I mean, I love mini dies. This is one of my favorites. I can't believe that Simon Says still even has this die because it is so old. But I'm glad it's still available. We've used it a lot. I know that Sharon and Kuber recently used it as well. I use it during the hoopla because it's got that fun little gingerbread. But see that little holly? That holly was perfect to go on that little hat. So if you think about it, it's about taking the holly from this die. It's about looking for a hat and then simply cutting that straight off. Now I've got a hat that fits Walter. I wanted a little wreath. So this one has a little wreath that's perfect for him to hold. This is an older die. I think these snowflakes maybe came from Twig and Stump. So it's just really a great way to completely change how you can use that character. This is what I was saying. You can start with one die and go into your creative space and see what you can pair it with, old and new. Okay, because I had no problem really going back into the vault with this, because I understand that not everybody is all winter and cold for the holiday season. So hey, Walter could like totally be surfed up. There's nothing wrong with that. Look how cute he is. Super fun. And yes, that's a pair of sunnies on his head. Look at those little reflective sunglasses. I kind of shared that here just to give you an idea that yes, I do love the glasses, but if you cut the glasses out of black, that's what I did here, and then I cut them out of silver, instead of popping out the lenses, I just took those silver leftovers and stuck them in the frame, and now you have your reflective sunnies. So they could be eyeglasses and they can be sunglasses. So simple. So I just wanted to pair him with something, well, a little bit more tropical, a little fun. And I went way back in the vault. I needed a palm tree that was size. So this is from the Village Surf Shack. That's that little palm tree die. But you might have other dies. You might have something that's going to work great. It also has this little surfboard. So we're talking, this is old school Biggs die, right? Long retired. But if you have this and you think, oh, I've not made a little surf village in a while, well, who cares? You don't need to make the house, but you've got some great accessories to pair up. Then I wanted to give him just a little floral lei because I thought that just made him even more tropical. So I went into this die that had, and I could have used this palm tree, just was a little too big, I thought, but this has big elements. But then I remember these tiny little flowers, and I was like, oh, I'll just cut a bunch of those, stick those around his neck. So then he has that great lei, and I'm like, okay, but I still need a sun, but I wanted a sunshine that was big, because I often think that sometimes when you create background scenes, if they're too big, they don't look like they're in the background. So I remembered this circle play die, and even though this was all fun and smiley and designed to use the domes like the gumball and the balloon, just using the outer ring created me the perfect sun. And these all have a very similar style, okay? So I think this is the great part of having that whole vacay look. So the textured paper, I like to mix and match papers. I think that's so important to understand, to have your dies really come to life. This is, I like Sizzix cardstock, but if you had basil or anything with texture, or you could run it through an embossing folder. But to give Walter this suede smoothie finish, this is black distress heavy stock, very suedey, and this is white distress heavy stock on that top layer. But see, just mixing that, those metallic, hilarious. But even if you're not thinking holidays, you're not thinking Christmas, you're not thinking vacay or a sunny spot, Walter is perfect for the everyday. He's perfect for the everyday. Especially if you like penguins, right? He could just be this cute little penguin because his expression is perfect. So here I made Walter. I used that Make-A-Wish from this bold text. You can do Make-A-Wish, you could do Happy Birthday if you wanted. It could be any kind of die. I just cut this out and layered it on a sparkly cardstock, so you just have that little glitter. And here's a tip: if you're using something light under a knockout like this, use some foam adhesive. Simon Says Stamp has the best little foam squares. They do it in black, they do it in white, they have different thicknesses, but just creating that gap, you see that little gap? Just with a few foam squares, it creates an instant drop shadow when you look at it. So that's what makes your verse stand out versus if it was flush. If it was flush to that background, often you don't get that drop shadow to really make it pop like it should. Then we've got Walter here. Now here's where I got these other elements. I told you I went way back, guys. Years ago, I did these die sets called side orders when the Sidekick came out. This is the birthday side order. Had the little party hat, had the little balloon. So if you have your side orders, look at these little elements because they are a perfect scale for Walter. Like for 4th of July, for Valentine's Day. I mean, he's got all the accessories he needs because these side orders all fit Walter really well. But if you don't have that, go back to your dies. Look for something simple. I'll go back to this Christmas die. There's that little Christmas present. I just use that as a little birthday present, just to kind of add a little something to the card. And that's really what dies are all about. They are shapes we know as makers. We are collectors, right? We have all of these things that in the moment when we bought it, oh man, it was the greatest thing in the world. You were going to make 100 of whatever it is that you bought. And then the reality is maybe you made it once, if that. Maybe you just bought it and you know you have it and you put it away. It's time to go through what you have and look at the shapes and identify it. But my advice is whatever you're trying to dress up, have one in your hand, because it does make it a lot easier. Even I know sometimes the packaging isn't to scale, but you can turn over your die and be like, oh, you know what, that's going to work really well. And that was my whole inspiration for Walter, is going through all the different types of dies that I had and little elements and try to create a story. And I think that creating that story is something that we love. And for Simon Says Stamp to always celebrate an industry in particular, be that Stamptember or DieCember, it really is about encouraging you to make. That's what it is. And to offer something free with purchase, like Heidi and the team at Simon Says Stamp, rock stars. Just rock stars. So there you go. That's my little spiel.
Tim,
But
thank you for showing us your makes.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and switch.
Will you hang in there while I show you some things that we've made?
I can't wait.
Oh, good. So I'm glad you talked a little bit. So here's my version of Walter. And I'm glad that you talked a little bit about, I guess we both did, multiple Walters, because here is my make. And so I had the luxury of having several Walters so I could die cut. I like how you have the hats all together, you know, in one section of a die and the scarves on one section of a die, because then I could cut in my colors. And this kind of reminded me of a family. So I thought what I would do differently next time is I would glue a little piece of string behind his hat and make these into ornaments and write the name, because I wanted to write with a really fine black pen the name of all my family members and make these into Christmas ornaments. But for now, I made, and thank you to Stephanie, our marketing director, for the idea to do the rainbow. I love rainbows, and so the Rainbow Splash cardstock is an 80-pound cardstock, and so it layered really nice for the smoothness of my multiple Walters. And I actually cut some out both ways. So it's a little trickier to mirror because the embossing doesn't line up, but I embossed, and I can't even tell you guys how much fun I had making these with the little pom-pom hats. Every scarf was a little bit different, and I put this in a Tim Holtz vignette box, of course. These things are good for everything. I left it very simple. I did not embellish the box, but you can see here's my Walters, and we sent Walter to loads of our makers, and I can't wait to show you some of these makes. So Nina Marie Trapani, Nina, this is adorable.
So
she
cute.
made a skating rink. And I guess her Walters are having a snowball fight, but she also has multiple Walters. So I'm telling you, it's not a bad idea to get a few of these for your friends, but it's also not a bad idea for you to have more than one, because then you can multiple die cut all at once. I love how she used the Tim trees. Of course, those are the woodlands. These are Tim's candy canes. She even used one of the barrels from his ideology collection to put the snowballs in for a skating rink snowball fight. And of course, the baubles, which are colored with alcohol inks. And the baubles also made a nice skating rink. And again, see how she also used her box. This is a Tim Holtz vignette box, but she used hers in a different way. Now, it doesn't stop there. We've got a few more makes, Tim. I can't wait to show. Tim hasn't seen these makes yet.
No.
So this one is by Sherry Carroll.
Oh my gosh. Look at that
She
little
used
igloo
Tim's
back
snow
there.
globe, and she's got her Walter in an igloo. She put little cubes in the background. Peace and Joy is one of stickers from one of Tim's ideology collections. This globe is actually from Tim's. And look, she even put send fish.
So
She cut
good.
out some Sizzix alphabet from Tim Holtz to do the send fish. And I like how her snowballs are freestanding all in her snow globe. Isn't that super cute? Now,
So clever. So
I've got
clever.
another three-dimensional make. This one is by Beth Opal.
Wow.
Look,
Wow.
it's an ice skating rink with the holographic cardstock on the bottom. She's got the gates from his, this is from his Halloween collection, but how perfect. And then there's the woodland trees that she put snow onto, and there's glitter everywhere. I just love, she also mirrored her Walter in 2 different ways. I like the blues that she used on the Walter's hat. And of course,
cute.
we have some simpler designs using Walter as well. And this is a Kathy Zilski
Oh my
card.
gosh.
Look
That's
how
so
she
cute.
ink blended the background. She used texture paste, clear. 'Tis the season. She put Walter with glasses and Walter with a classic snowman hat. Love it, Kathy. Thank you for sending. Now, great minds think alike. Oh, I'm sorry. This card is by Mindy Egan. I am so sorry. This card is by Mindy Egan. And you can see why I had it confused with Kathy, because Kathy Zilski actually made this card. Isn't it funny how
love that.
designers
Yes.
often use similar colors?
I know,
Thank
colors
you
and
to
the
all the
ideas.
designers who sent
So
us
good.
cards or projects with Walter. He really brings him to life. Kathy Zilski added the string at the top, the twine. She made a tag. I'm telling you, I really want to go back to my craft room and make more Walters and turn him into Christmas ornaments. I have another card here. This one is by Heather Rui. Thank you, Heather, for sending. I like how Walter has a sparkly, she put a sparkly scarf on Walter, and of course a bow tie and hearts in the middle of her snowflakes. So Heather made a card, a Christmas card out of her Walter. I've got another Christmas card. This one is by Barbara Terriau. Thank you, Barbara, for sending this. And again, you can see this, hold on, this is the Christmas
cutout.
cutouts. See the
Yeah.
Hope and Peace? These are Tim Holtz Sizzix products as well. The Hope and the Peace. So she combined products with her Walter. So many people put Walter in both the bow tie and the scarf with the Santa hat. I love that. Love, love, love. Another Walter project. This one is by Nicole Spohr. She actually made a snow globe card. I like, Nicole also did snow globe for Stamptember, so how fun is it that she went back to snow globe for our DieCember Cyber Monday exclusive. Now, if you're wondering why I'm showing Walter and you're tuning in a little bit late, you can get Walter as a free gift from Simon Says Stamp and Tim Holtz while supplies last. He's a limited edition. I still have some more inspiration to show, but I want to remind you, all you need to do is purchase $25 of any Tim Holtz product, Sizzix, Ranger, stamps, fabric, you name it, tonic, and you would get Walter for free. This is our free gift for Cyber Monday. Now I've got a few tags to round out the inspiration for today. This is by Emily Midget. Thank you, Emily, for bringing Walter to life. She even has snow in the background here. Perfect tags. And I saved one of my favorites for last. Oh, Susan, if you're watching. Oh, how adorable. She made pink tags with the velvet ribbon. This is Tim's velvet ribbon. And then, of course, she added the pom-pom white. I think we need to get some more white pom-poms into the Simon Says Stamp store because so many of us, including me, have used pom-poms in their Walter art. Do you want to go back to the main screen here, Reed?
Tim.
So
Tim, can we go
cute.
side by side?
Oh my gosh. How fun is that inspiration? I mean, from the different projects to the colors used, and again, I was talking about like different types of cardstock. It's like brilliant. The igloo, I'm on that. I'm telling you, Sherry Carol, like I'm doing an igloo. That's really smart.
Oh
Really
yeah,
smart.
with the Go Fish on the back.
It's just fun because that is what creativity should be. I mean, the whole reason that, you know, and thank you to all the makers that made and shared. And I know that you sent out dies to even more makers that, you know, it's a busy time of year. It's the holiday season and not everyone had time to make and get them sent in ahead of time. So I know there's a lot of makers that will continue to share on social media, different inspirations. So I can't wait just to see how people incorporate dye. It's so brilliant. It's so
Oh, it'll be fun.
inspiring.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Tim. It's going to be fun to see the other makers because we sent this to a lot of Tim's makers too. And they're going to be posting on social to keep us inspired for the next few weeks. We do have Walter available while supplies last. So there's no telling when we're going to sell out. Or free out. I don't know what you call it when it's a gift. Free gift out. But just to remind everybody before Tim and I sign off, this is Walter. He is our Cyber Monday surprise for all of you. He's a gift. And when you purchase $25 of Tim Holtz product, you will receive Walter. You need to add him to your shopping cart though. Right. Our new website has works different ways. So you add Walter. You can search him by using Walter on the website, or his item code is 666-505. Really much easier to add Walter. Add him to your shopping cart, and if you have $25 of Tim Holtz product in your shopping cart, Walter will be free. You can use the coupon code Walter, but some people have been chiming in on this chat that I don't even know that you necessarily need to use the code Walter. I think he might just be popping into your cart with no cost anyway. I can't verify that yet. I haven't seen it, but that's good news. Yeah. And Tim, thank you. And Mario, you guys always make this so much fun.
Oh, thank you.
And Sizzix, of course.
It is fun to just collaborate with an idea, especially when the idea is so early on. I mean, I think when people are finally seeing this, we're very much in season. But when we're in February talking about Christmas ideas and all the other stuff, it's very cool as a creative, from a creative to a creative, that we have all these little ideas, these little sparks that, like, wouldn't it be cool and wouldn't it be cute if? And then fast forward to now, this time of year, and seeing not only how great it turns out, but how well it really works with all of the other things that we anticipated at the very, very beginning. So I think that's really great. And again, just so generous of Simon Says Stamp to offer this as a free gift with the purchase, but more than anything, to kind of give makers that incentive of creating during this holiday. I mean, I know it's a busy time for many, it's a lonely time for many, it's a chaotic time for many, but all of those things, creativity is that one piece of that will just ground you. And this is what I think is super important, just to remember that you can always have a reason that you're too busy to do something, but just remember the joy that creativity brings you. And even if you have like this most stressful day and you're like, I can't think of another thing, I tell you, if you spend 30 minutes or an hour at the end of the night when everyone's asleep or whatever, just in that little creative mode, it will keep that spark lit throughout the holiday season. It really will. You just have to allow yourself that creativity that we also enjoy.
100%, Tim. Very, very well said. 100%. Yep. Thank you. Thank you for saying it and reminding us all. Well, I think if nobody else has any more questions, I think we'll say goodbye and go about our Monday, and appreciate you very, very much. Reed wants to add a couple of things before we say goodbye.
Yes, if you're having any trouble checking out, please contact service at simonsaysstamp.com. We'll help you get that figured out. And we're going live on Friday as well, so join us this Friday.
Yeah, we got Friday is DieCember 1st, so we've got another live planned.
Gonna be fun.
Tim will be watching though. Tim's a very special surprise. I think Tim comes to our studio once a year, which is thrilled for me that we were able to do this. So thank you, and good to see you, Mario, with your hat.
Yeah, super
Heidi,
fun.
you could always come here.
Yes, and I got the joy of coming to your studio. Thank you.
Good fun. Well, thank you. Thanks so much for allowing us to be part of this
fun.
cyber kickoff. It's really great. And a shout out again to you and the team at Sizzix for making this happen. I think that's really, really great. It's going to be fun.
And to you, Tim, thank you.
Thanks.
Happy holidays.
See you, everyone.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.